let's get this shit over with. Welcome to the rant on Seed of Chucky, which might as well just be called Chucky's Cum. The Cum of Chucky, because that's the title itself is just terrible. I mean, you know you're in for a really bad time. You know you're in for a bad movie when the title itself sucks. Seed of Chucky, yeah, I mean, really, it's not even that clever. It's just crass, and it's not funny. And this is the type of what did Trauma make this movie? Oh man, Seed of Chucky is the fifth film in the Child's Play franchise, and this movie, I had honestly been avoiding this film for years. I didn't even get around to watching it all the way through until a couple days ago because I was just avoiding it. I was like, I didn't really like Bride of Chucky, gave that another chance. I still don't really like that movie, but it's a lot better than Seed of Chucky. Okay, Chucky coming in your face, aka the movie where you get to see Chucky masturbating, get to see Chucky choke his chicken, get to see him come. Yeah, I really wanted to see that. Yeah, that's when I saw Child's Play or Child's Play 2 or even Child's Play 3. You know what I really wanted out of a Child's Play sequel was to see Chucky grabbing his dick and just working it. Yeah, I wanted to see that. What the hell is wrong with you, Don Mancini? Seriously, this is the worst screenplay he's ever written. It's not funny, so it's not even trying to be scary at all this time around. Unlike Pride of Chucky, which is trying to be scary, but then it was trying to be meta, and then it was trying to be funny, but none of that worked. So this this is trying to be just funny, and it isn't. It's not funny. I can't think of a single line of dialogue where I'm like, yeah, that was hilarious. That was a really memorable, hilarious line of dialogue. I mean, this movie has just terrible jokes. They're just crass and they're not funny. It's like they think, oh, because it's crass and it's like, and Chucky's masturbating, that means it's funny. And you get to see, or you get to see some doll titties. Yeah, that's funny. Or I guess some people, like, hey, I bet Charles Band is loving that. Charles, as soon as Tiffany flashes her doll titties, Charles Band is like, oh, he's totally in heaven. He probably creamed himself right then and there, just seeing some doll titties. Because you know Charles Band loves him some dolls. Um, you have like a Britney Spears cameo, and it's not really her, and Chucky kills her, which just severely dates the film, and it just feels like what is the point of that? It's completely pointless, and then really terrible lines like this. I could not believe my ears could not believe. I mean, my head couldn't believe this. I'm still completely. I'm at a loss for words for this particular line of dialogue being in the movie. Glenn is talking to Chucky or Glenda, Glenn or Glenda, and he says, but isn't violence bad? But isn't violence bad? No, son. Violins. Violins are bad. That screeching music is gonna ruin the goddamn country. The fuck were you thinking, Don Mancini? That what? What the hell were you thinking? What were you smoking? What? Really? Violins! Violins are bad! Terrible. Just, that's even worse than a dad joke. Like, that's just awful. It's like this movie is awful. There's a line of dialogue where I think Chucky's like, fuck you very much. And I'm like, fuck you very much. You piece of shit. You fucking awful sequel. Seed of Chucky. And all right, I got that initial anger out of the way, kind of vented a bit there. Let's get to the review, or the rant, which is more of a rant than a review, trust me. It's directed by Don Mancini, who the beginning of the film opens up with a kind of decent, like it's a dream sequence, and you might think it's Chucky that's doing these killings. It's from the point of view of this killer, but you find out it's not Chucky, it's Glenn, who is this really annoying new the seed of Chucky. That's what he is. He's the seed of Chucky. He's Chucky and Tiffany's kid, all grown up, and his name is Shitface. Well, that's what his name was before they named him Glenn or Glenda, in reference to the Ed Wood film, Glenn or Glenda, which then just makes me want to watch Tim Burton's Ed Wood, which that's 10 times better than this. In fact, please go watch that. If you haven't seen Tim Burton's Ed Wood, I highly recommend you check that out. It's a hell of a lot better than The Seed of Chucky. But, so yeah, Shitface. Yeah, that's it's appropriate. Shitface. It's appropriate for this fucking cover art. Like, this is awful. I hate this. Shitface is right. That looks fucking terrible. Like, what the Universal? Seriously, what the fuck? Could you put any less effort into your DVD set? And I hate this set anyway, because it's double-sided discs. So we got a bunch of discs here that are fucking scratched up. It's all scratched up. Like, Child's Play 2 played fine. But even the back of this didn't even look that scratched up. But Child's Play 3 didn't play. It kept freezing. Bride of Chucky doesn't work. Seed of Chucky worked, though. Great. Fucking Seed of Chucky worked, but not Child's Play 3. Ugh. I don't want to look at this anymore. Get the fuck out of my face. It's so fucking terrible. I don't... and it's got the scarred up Chucky too, so it reminds me of Seed of Chucky. God, this movie was fucking ape shit. Bullshit. Elephant shit. Every type of shit. Blue whale shit. It's the biggest shit imaginable. Curse of Chucky was terrible too, and I'm not looking forward to watching that again. But this was really awful. It was 86 minutes of pain and torture. I felt like my life force was being sucked out of my body while watching this movie. When I was watching it, it felt like one single grain of sand was like falling through the hourglass. That's what it felt like. Not multiple grains of sand. I'm watching an hourglass and only one grain of sand is falling through the fucking thing, and I'm like 10 minutes into the movie, and I'm like, oh god, what have I gotten myself into? So Don Mancini also wrote this film, and in my personal opinion, he did a shitty job. He did a really terrible job writing this. This film was a prime example, and even Bride of Chucky, where if Don Mancini ran out of ideas for Child's Play 3, then they should have brought in a new writer. Don Mancini, his shtick sucks. It's not funny. And so then he tries to be, I'll talk about him trying not to be funny and trying to be scary and Curse of Chucky, but him trying to be funny is just pathetic. The Chucky's Insult Emporium at Universal Studios, where there was a guy who was puppeting a Chucky puppet and insulted people in the audience. That was funnier than anything in this movie. They should have hired that guy to write the dialogue for this movie. I guarantee you would have done a better job. So, Don Mancini does the duties here. He writes and directs and does a pretty shit job doing both. Directing, I guess he's a little bit better than a writer, but not by much. Like I was mentioning earlier, the POV shots of were fairly well shot in the beginning of the film, but then the rest of it is just not much of anything. It's not really that impressive. Ronnie Yu at least had some really distinct visual style to his direction. Don Mancini has none of that. You can tell that he's an amateur and hasn't directed anything before. This really does feel like a trauma film. I mean, that's the main thing that I'm thinking of. Is like it's a trauma production, and I'm not a fan of trauma, and I'm not a fan of this movie either. So Brad Dourif returns as the voice of Chucky, and even I mean, he's fine, I guess, but I mean, he doesn't have anything really to do except bicker with Tiffany again and say some really bad jokes and wank. That's all he has to do. This movie's one giant wank, and it's the wrong way. It bends your dick into a pretzel and then, like, just rips it off. So Billy Boyd also makes he's a newcomer here. He's the voice of Glenn/Glenda, and I could not stand that fucking character. It was annoying. It was all like he's a total pussy, and he's got split personalities. He doesn't know whether he's a boy or girl. I don't give a fuck what he is. Get the fuck off my screen, because if I'm going to see a Child's Play sequel, I don't want to see Glenn or Glenda or whatever the fuck it is. I don't want to see that. I want to see Chucky. I don't want to see Tiffany either. I don't want to see Tiffany's tits, and I don't want to see Chuck. I want to see Chucky, but I don't want to see Chucky like this, bickering with Tiffany again, trying to cut it cold turkey, stop killing people, but then he can't stop killing people. I just wanking into a cup, and then as Tiffany takes out the cum with the turkey baster, which, oh great, remind me of Don't Breathe, another fucking disappointing movie. Well, at least don't. I'll give Seed to Chucky. I'll give Don't Breathe this. It's a lot better than Seed to Chucky. But both movies have the unfortunate uh thing. They have the unfortunate. Oh man, my brain is just so fucking slow right now because of this. Thinking about this movie is just killing my brain cells. Both movies have that particular dubious honor of having scenes with a turkey baster full of cum in them. So, and you have Jennifer Tilly, who plays herself, so she plays the voice of Tiffany, and then she also plays herself in this, and she's just a total unlikable bitch. She's a whore, she's a slut. I guess that's the point, but why should I give a shit about this character? It's another problem. Can Don Mancini write any characters that are likable, that you give a shit what happens to them? Oh, I gotta deal with Jennifer Tilly playing herself, being uber slut bitch. And then I gotta deal with Redman. Should go back. You should be filming How High 2 instead of Seed of Chucky. It's boring. There's no plot. All it is Glenn ends up bringing Chucky and Tiffany back to life because their dolls were picked up at the crime scene. They're picked up at the graveyard by this movie studio. They put the dolls back together, and then we're using them for a film where I think it might have been called Curse of Chucky, actually. So they're using it for a movie, and yeah, it's for a film that they're doing, a Chucky film. I'm making sure it's not called Curse of Chucky. I want to make sure about that. I just want to make sure that I'm not being mistaken here. Chucky Goes Psycho. Curse of Chucky's a better title than Chucky Goes Psycho. But anyway, Chucky Goes Psycho, and that's where you get the "fuck you very much" line. And Jason Fleyming has a bit role as the Santa Claus guy, the guy in the Santa Claus suit who gets stabbed in that scene. And Jason Fleyming himself he's left this film off his resume because he does not want to be associated with this shit. And I don't blame him. I really don't. So Glenn finds the puppets, brings them back to life with the Ade Dumbala thing on the back of the amulet, and because he's looking for his parents, and because he has a made in Japan thing on his wrist, he thinks that he's Japanese, or they're Japanese. And then there's this whole gag about, oh, he's a boy, or he's a girl, or he's a boy, he's a girl. I don't give a fuck what he is. He's annoying. He's a fuck stick. I don't give a shit. He could be both. He could be a girl. He could be a boy. It doesn't matter. For all I'm concerned, he can go be kicked into a fucking furnace. Stuffed. Go stuff Glenn or Glenda in the incinerator. So then you have Redman, Hannah Spearitt, who plays Joan, who that's the only actress out of this that was like, maybe she's all right, but really not much there, to be honest. Didn't much to do. And then you have John Waters, who plays this paparazzi guy named Pete Peters, I think. Pete Peters. And I had fun with John Waters' cameo. Doesn't save the film. And I'll give the movie this as well. Uh, Tony Gardner's practical effects of the puppets and a little bit of the gore was actually really impressive. It does suck though that these impressive practical effects have to be in such a shit pile of a movie. But, you know, it's really too bad. It's a shame that these really great, probably the best looking Chucky effects that I've seen since Child's Play 2. It improved upon the puppet work that Kevin Yeager did for Bride of Chucky. Tiffany looks the best she's ever looked. The scarred Chucky puppet looks the best it's ever looked here. Tony Gardner outdid himself, and he did it. He did a great job for a movie that's, for the most part, pretty forgettable. It's really lame. It doesn't have much of a plot. All it is just, I want to I want you to impregnate. Tiffany's like, oh hey Chucky, I want you to impregnate Jennifer Tilly, so we can have kids. And then Glenda is gonna transfer his soul into one of the babies, and I'm gonna transfer my spirit into Jennifer Tilly, and then you can transfer your spirit into Redman. And then I guess they'll live happily ever after. Like the same shit again. It's always the same fucking plot. Can we have something else in the Child's Play films? Oh, they did it something different finally in Curse of Chucky, but it took them like the sixth fucking movie in the franchise to realize, man, the spirit transfer shit, we've done that way too fucking much. We've really beat that horse to death. Oh, actually the horse is already dead and we're still beating it. But yeah. Big props to Tony Gardner. Absolutely. He helped bring the Blob to life in the Blob remake and did a great job with the effects for Darkman. And he did a good job here. And he actually is the one who gets decapitated in the film. And it's not really the best. It's a really weird looking shot. Like, it reminded me of some of the gore scenes at Midnight Meat Train. They're just so over the top that it's laughable. And I don't think your money shot with somebody getting decapitated should make you laugh. But that's just me personally. And he plays himself, Tony Gardner, and as himself he dies. So yeah, I guess Quentin Tarantino was originally offered the role that Redman played, but he turned it down. I think Don Mancini and the producers, they actually asked Chris Sarandon to reprise his role as Detective Mike Norris, but he turned it down due to scheduling conflicts. I wonder how much of that is really scheduling conflicts. Or it's just he took one look at the script and was like, wow, this reeks. I don't want to be a part of this in any capacity. Get this away from me. I'm afraid I'm going to catch an STD from this screenplay. But yeah, it's really good that he wasn't in it. At least for his sake, and at least for my sake too. I did not want to see him in some throwaway role and then get killed in some dumbass way. So there's some decent bits of gore, in particular the scene when John Waters gets melted with some sulfuric acid, but it's not much. Whoa, it has some good gore, nice, some good effects, nice. The story is garbage. It's a garbage story. It should have been thrown in the garbage. It should have been shredded. There should have been a rewrite. Should have had somebody else write the screenplay. This is the best they could come up with? Is this? It's just Chucky and Tiffany hanging out in Jennifer Tilly's house for like an extended period of time, and then it's just as boring as the boring road trip from Bride of Chucky. At least in Child's Play 3, you had a military school as a setting. Child's Play 2, you had the Good Guys factory. Child's Play 3, you also had the carnival. What do you have here? Oh, Jennifer Tilly's house. Great. No, not really. Not so great. And then the shit with Glenn and Glenda, I could not stand that fucking character. Got on my nerves. And his voice was just like, I want to wring his neck and pop his little head off and piss down the hole. Because, when you pop a doll's head off, fuck it, whatever. It's... It might not be much of a rant, but I don't know. There isn't much of a movie. There isn't much of a movie here. There isn't enough here to be a feature-length film. And then you have shit with Glenn at the end, where he does this fucking martial arts shit, flips in the air like he thinks he's fucking Trinity or some shit from the Matrix. Looks like something I saw out of Team America World Police. I'd definitely rather watch that than this. I'm not even the biggest fan of that movie. And then there was supposed to be a bigger battle between Chucky and Glenn, but they ran out of money or something. So it's just Chucky getting chopped into pieces by Glenn. Decent effects, but it's like, what has happened to Chucky? He's such a pussy. They made him such a pussy now. It's like that scene in Child's Play 3 when that girl put lipstick on his face. But if he just kept the lipstick on, was just a total pussy throughout the rest of the franchise. What the hell happened to Chucky? He was being tickled like a fucking baby in Bride of Chucky. Then, didn't really do that much. He was bossed around by Tiffany. Got in fucking quarrels with her. He gets shot a few times. And then in Seed Chucky, he ends up he gets chopped up by this wiry, skinny-looking runt of a kid of his. Yeah, that's what I wanted. I want to see Chucky get killed by this fucking little twat. So, yeah, as a Child's Play fan, as a fan of Chucky, it just gets worse and worse. I mean, I thought, this would be, a train wreck. I knew it was going to be a train wreck, but I thought it would be one of those train wrecks that, oh, okay, I can watch it because of how bad it is. No, it's just the type of bad that's just either incompetent or just lame. Probably a bit of both. So I don't really know what else to say about this movie. I really don't. Apparently this script was originally offered to Universal in '98, but they turned it down. Understandably so, because it was shit. It's a terrible screenplay. And they turned it down, so then Focus Features, which is a division of Universal Studios, finally picked up the movie in 2003. And then they didn't want to release the movie under their label, so they split off and released it under Rogue Pictures, because Focus Features is known for doing a lot of independent artsy films, so they didn't want to be connected with Seed of Chucky. They didn't want to be connected with the movie where Chucky is masturbating, choking his chicken. Chucky masturbates, the motion picture, great. I don't know what else to say about this movie. I really don't. And I might have repeated myself a few times. Fuck it. I mean, this movie's already left my brain. I saw it a couple days ago, and I've already forgotten about most of it. Oh, you had this shitty twist ending where apparently Tiffany did end up getting her spirit to go inside of Jennifer Tilly, and she had a kid. And she ended up taking the babies that were born later by the voodoo pregnancy. And then they all have red hair. One girl looks like Little Orphan Annie. And then the housekeeper wants to quit. And then Tiffany, in the body of Jennifer Tilly, like kills her. And because the housekeeper wants to quit because of the kids are too wild and crazy and scary. And she kills the housekeeper. Glenn, who's in the body of, who's, looks like Chucky from Rugrats. Not really, he doesn't. He looks like a live action Chucky from Rugrats, except he doesn't have like the crazy wild hair, but like he still has that same sort of redhead, nerdy looking kid. And he ends up receiving a present, and it's like Chucky's arm, and then the kid screams. Jennifer Tilly earlier looked at the screen and you saw her eyes go green like Tiffany's, and it was a really, really shit looking effect. Really crappy effect. And then Chucky laughs off screen. I guess his arm killed Glenn? What the fuck? I mean, even the ending doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. This is a fucking clusterfuck of a fucking ending. It's a clusterfuck of a movie, so it's fitting that it had a clusterfuck of an ending. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I don't even want to talk about this movie anymore. Fuck this movie. Fuck Seed of Chucky. Even Pino Donaggio couldn't add anything to this film, and I think he's a fairly talented composer. His score added nothing to the movie either. There was anything you could do with this shit. Even Brad Dourif couldn't save it. Nobody could save it. This is unsalvageable. This movie should have been condemned, burned at the stake. Never shown to the public. Should have just been relegated to the direct-to-video bargain bin, not released in theaters. Or held back from release. So people like myself don't have to witness such atrocious blue whale shit. And apparently there's an unrated cut. And I didn't watch the unrated cut. I watched just the R-rated cut. Apparently there's an unrated cut with more sexy Chucky. More Chucky masturbating. You get to see a longer shot of Chucky's dick. Yeah, you get to see more of Chucky's dick. Yeah, that's a sight I've always wanted to see. And that's something I've always been waiting to see. And I've dreamt about it. I've dreamt about seeing Chucky's dick. Fuck no! I mean, what the hell? I don't know what is wrong with Don Mancini. Why does he think fans of the franchise want to see Chucky's dick? What is wrong with you? You're demented. Did your mom drop you on the head too many times when you were a kid, Don? I mean, Sloth from the Goonies would write a better script than this fucking bullshit. And this... Oh, God. I'm done. It's just giving me a fucking headache just thinking about this movie. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Fuck this movie. Fuck Seed of Chucky. Rate it a half a star. Half a star out of 5 for Tony Gardner's effects, for the cameo with John Waters, and that's it. Everything else can go fuck itself. Off this planet. Out of my face.